You're listening to Soundside. I'm Jason Burrows. Long summer nights with the Mariners on the radio is a rite of passage in the Pacific Northwest. This weekend, the team is celebrating its 50th anniversary. And whether you grew up with the M's as a kid during the glory days of Ken Griffey Jr. in the Kingdome, just started following as Big Dumper was breaking records last season, or you stuck with the team faithfully through a 20-year playoff drought like I did, one voice has stood out.
Swinging a line drive, base hit right field. Here comes Fairchild on the score. Walk-off winner for the second day in a row.
Rick Rizzs started with the Mariners back in 1983. He had a brief stint in Detroit, then came back to Seattle in 1995 and put in a record-breaking 41 years with the team. He announced earlier this year that he would be retiring at the end of the 2026 season, and he joins me now. Rick Rizzs, thank you so much for being here.
Jason, it's great to be with you. Thanks for playing that replay. The Mariners had back-to-back walk-offs, and that series against Minnesota was exciting. So, yeah, it's been a wonderful ride for 41 years with the Mariners, 52 seasons overall, 8 years in the minor leagues, 3 years, as you mentioned, with the Detroit Tigers. So I've been blessed to do something I'd love to do ever since I was 12 years old growing up in Chicago.
Speaking of being 12 years old in Chicago, do you remember the first time that you really fell in love with baseball?
Yeah, I really do because, as a kid growing up in Chicago, we had a sandlot behind my house, and I'm sure you've seen the movie Sandlot with the Kids. That was the story of my life, long before they made that movie. We even had the dog. We had a German Shepherd called Mo, and his backyard was by the third base, and a lot of times the ball would go back in his backyard, and my job was to jump over the fence, get that ball, throw it back onto the sandlot, so we keep playing. I did it every time, except one time I threw the ball in the sandlot, and I was jumping over the fence, and Mo bit me right on my backside, and I had a German Shepherd hanging off me. I go, Mo, let me go, and he let go. But anyway, that's when I fell in love with the game. I wanted to be the next Louis Aparicio or Nellie Fox, with the Chicago White Sox, but that didn't work out. I played a couple of years of JV baseball at Southern Illinois University. I saw a slider, and I decided I better go into broadcasting. My head coach, Itchy Jones, agreed with me. But going back to as a kid, I remember listening on the radio, Jason, how Jack Brickhouse, the Hall of Fame broadcaster for the Chicago Cubs, and Bob Elson, the outstanding broadcaster for the White Sox, made it sound like I was there. I could picture Wrigley Field long before I got there because of Mr. Brickhouse. And I wrote him a letter when I was 12 years old. And I said, I want to be a major league broadcaster just like you. How do I do it? And he wrote me back a letter, and I had that letter forever.
That's so cool.
And he told me, this is 1965, I'm 12 years old, and he told me what you would tell any 12-year-old kid, work hard, believe in yourself, and all that. So I did, graduated high school from Eisenhower High School in the south side of Chicago, went to Southern Illinois University, majored in radio and TV, and then got a job in the minor leagues, 8 years in the minors, and got to the Mariners, thank goodness, for the Mariners and Dave Niehaus, who hired me in 1983. But I fell in love with the radio as a kid, how the announcers made me feel like I was at the ballpark. It was magical.
I love the story of you going down into your basement, watching games with the sound turned down so that you could do your own play-by-play. And you had that inspiration in Jack Brickhouse. What does it mean to you that now you are the inspiration for young broadcasters that are hoping to follow in your footsteps?
Well, it's really something special because, that's what I did when I was a kid. I'd go downstairs and my mom would be watching the game upstairs in the kitchen in this little teeny tiny black and white television set. And I'd go downstairs and turn down our Zenith, turn up that and turn down the sound and do play-by-play for the Cub games, And my mom would go, Ricky, what are you doing down there? I said, Mom, I'm busy. The bases are loaded. Ernie Banks is up. But that's what I did. And I thought, I wonder if I could do this, for the rest of my life or as a career. And that's when I decided to write Mr. Brickhouse a letter. And that kind of started it. But I did my first broadcast when I was in college at Southern Illinois University, and it was like, I've done this before because I was down there in my basement, as a 12-year-old kid broadcasting Cub games, and it was just a lot of fun. My dad always told me, Jason, he said, Ricky, I don't care what you do when you grow up, as long as when you wake up in the morning, you don't mind going to work, and it's fun, you got it made. And I've been living my dream for 52 years in broadcasting.
That's so cool. As we mentioned at the top, you've been with the Mariners for 41 seasons. What is it about the team that has kept you here for that long?
Well, I think it's not only the team, it was Dave Niehaus.
Mhm.
When I first got here, I met one of the greatest announcers in the history of the game of baseball.
Yeah.
Dave Niehaus went in the Hall of Fame in 2008. He was the first Mariner to go into the Hall of Fame. And then there was Ken Griffey Jr. and Edgar Martinez and Ichiro, Randy Johnson. But it was Dave Niehaus that, kept me here. I just love the guy. His family became my family, his wife Marilyn and his daughter Greta and sons Andy and Matt and my son Nick grew up with their family and our producer engineer Kevin Kremen. And we all became this close-knit family besides colleagues, in the radio or TV booth. And I had a chance to go to the Angels my second year, and I said no because I wanted to stay with David. I had a chance to go my third year to the Chicago White Sox, and I said no because I didn't want to be bouncing around. I wanted to be in one place for a long time, and I wanted to be with Dave Niehaus, who taught me the ropes. He made it fun to go to the ballpark every day. We had a blast on the radio. We joked around. We had a great time. We did our jobs, but he did it as well as anybody, the great storyteller that he was and painting the pictures. So I just wanted to get established, in a community, and I think I've done that for 41 years.
Yeah.
But the reason I stayed is because number one, it's the greatest job in the world, unless you're out there at shortstop, which that wasn't going to happen for me. But number two, it was Dave Niehaus, and that's why I stayed here all those years.
There are 162 regular season games a year for a baseball team. Then the playoffs, if you're lucky enough to play in October. That's hard on players, but I imagine it's also hard for the folks calling games. What is your approach to the discipline of the job?
Yeah, it really is a marathon. Like right now, I'm battling this cough and this cold. And so thank goodness for cough switches where the fans don't realize that, you're having a rough time. But it's difficult. It really is a marathon. It's tough. You're at the ballpark all the time. You're gone all the time because when you're on the road, you're gone. And then for 81 games, I'm at the ballpark at 1:30 in the afternoon. So when my son was growing up here as a kid, he was at school and I'd come home and he'd be in bed by the time I got home. So you do make sacrifices, but like I said, it's the greatest job in the world. You have to really take care of yourself, just like an athlete. We're not athletes, but you got to take care of yourself. You got to get your sleep. You got to eat right and do all those fun things because you don't want to let the fans down. I've got this, responsibility to be there for the fans, and I want to be there every game. I've done a lot of games where I didn't feel very good at all, but I still had to show up because it was just Dave and I at the time doing play-by-play and one color analyst. And now we have four guys, two play-by-play guys, two analysts. But it was just something that I just wanted to be there and show up every day and do the best job I could. And Dave Niehaus taught me that.
Nice. If baseball announcers had a walk-up song, what would you pick?
That's Amore by Dean Martin.
Love it.
I love that song. I heard it a million times. My dad would go downstairs. He bought our first house in 1958, had a basement. He fixed it all up with linoleum tile and everything. He made the cabinets, the wood paneling, and the TV set was down there, the big TV set, and our games and stuff like that. And but he would go down there and take a nap, and we had a hi-fi. It wasn't a stereo, it was high fidelity.
Mm-hmm.
And he put on a stack of 45s, and I listened to all the greats, Dean Martin and Perry Como and Tony Bennett, Andy Williams, Frank Sinatra, and Summer Wind. I love that song. And Patty Page, and he just had all these great records that I listened to over and over again. And one I always really loved to hear and sing was That's Amore by Dean Martin. When the moon hits your eye like a big pizza pie, that's Amore. So I guess maybe that would be it because it's kind of funny, crazy, and it would be light, and I'd be ready to hit and probably strike out, but it would be fun. That would be my walk-up song.
So this week, the team is celebrating its first 50 years, and I'm sure that we could talk forever about your favorite highlights with the team, but are there any standout moments or interactions that you've had with fans that really stick with you?
Well, I guess, just walking around at spring training, I love that. That's my favorite thing to do at spring training is you go down to lower fields and I walk around and the fans are there and they get a chance to see you and we talk a little baseball, we become friends. And so that's what I love to do. On the air, it was Dave Niehaus and myself and Kevin Kremen, and now it's Gary Hill Jr. is doing a great job on radio and Shannon Drayer, Aaron Goldsmith's over there on TV. So there's just been so many great moments in our history. I mean, we're getting ready to celebrate our 50 seasons with our top 50 players. Most of them are going to be here on Saturday night on August the 8th. So yeah, Edgar's doubled on the left field line that Dave Niehaus called. I took off my headphones and I'm jumping up and down in the booth running with Junior. The throw will be late and the Mariners are going to play for the American League Championship. I don't believe it. My, oh my, it just continues. David's call. But then I had before that, the one game playoff against the California Angels. If we don't win that game, we don't get to the playoffs. We were tied at the end of the regular season. The strike was the year before. We played 144 games, and we had to go back to Seattle after we lost the game in Texas and play the Angels for one game. And it was Randy Johnson against Mark Langston.
Hmm.
No score, bottom of the seventh inning, bases loaded, and Luis Sojo swinging a ground ball, sneaks on by Snow down the right field line of the bullpen. Here comes Blowers, here comes Tino, here comes Joey. Throw home, cut off by Langston. Relay home, gets on by Allenson. Cora scores. Here comes Soho. Soho scores. Everybody scores. So that was in the seventh inning, the inning that I did. And so if we don't win that game, I don't know if we're here. That team in 1995,
Yeah.
Jason, saved baseball here in the Pacific Northwest.
Let's talk about the festivities for the weekend for the 50th anniversary. After
Yeah,
Friday's game, we've got the Home Run Derby with alumni like Mike Cameron, Ichiro, Ryan Roland Smith, who is now a broadcaster too.
right.
So why no Rick Rizzs?
Oh, no, they don't want me. I haven't swung a bat in 50 years, so that would be ridiculous. I don't know if I could hit a ball out of the infield. I'm 72 years old right now. I'm still in pretty good shape, but
Yeah.
now I'm going to leave it up to Ichiro. Ichiro should win this thing by a wide margin. Stephen Romero's in it, and Bucky Jacobson, Ryan Roland Smith, a pitcher,
Yes.
who never hit a home run. He's in it, so he's getting ready. Austin Nola, our bullpen catcher, is in the home run derby. So it's going to be a lot of fun on that Friday, on August the 7th. So get out here early. And I think the home run derby is after the game.
Right.
So it's going to be a lot of fun.
I'm going both Friday and Saturday, so I'm really
All
excited.
right.
Saturday, we have the 50 greatest Mariner players as voted on by fans, media, and staff. Anyone you're looking forward to reconnecting and catching up with?
Well, they've kept it very secret. I haven't seen the list. I got an idea, because I've done 41 years of Mariners baseball. But, I was really close to the guys in 1995. Look forward to see Junior again and Jay Buhner. And the guys before that, Harold Reynolds and Alvin Davis, that started the trend for our organization. That's when we started to get going. Alvin Davis was the American League Rookie of the Year in 1984. Mark Langston was the American League Rookie Pitcher of the Year. So, and I want to see some of the, older guys that started the franchise in the late 70s for the Seattle Mariners, a Bruce Bhakti or, you know, uh, guys that, were on that expansion team in 1977. So I haven't seen the list, but I got an idea who might be here. But I want to talk to those guys to find out, what it was like back then in the Kingdome with about a couple thousand fans in the stands. And now we got 35,000 fans every night here at T-Mobile Park. It's been great.
Throughout the season, there are different fan appreciation and season ticket holder events before the games start. And one of my favorite parts is getting to go down to the third baseline and watch you sit on top of the dugout and interview alumni, different players, and other notable guests.
Yeah.
How did that start? And do you have any of those interviews that you're particularly proud of?
Be honest with you, I don't know how it started, but I think it kind of got started with our Fan Fest
Hmm.
when we had players come back and we had the weekend where fans coming out to the ballpark. They would do various things, stand in line to get autographs, fun things on the field, play catch. I apologize. And then one thing we always did was called dugout dialogue.
Hmm.
So I would sit on the dugout along with the players and we'd talk to them about their careers, their season, what they expected for the, upcoming year, then open it up for questions. So I believe that's how that got started. And then we want to honor our history and remind fans of our history. So we bring back a special guest, like a few weeks ago is Joel Pinheiro,
Hmm.
or we interview current players, like Gabe Spire was up there in the dugout the other day talking about his career and what he does for the ball club. He's an outstanding reliever. But I think that's how it really got started was with FanFest. But it's fun because the fans can sit right there and
Right
see
there.
these
Yeah.
guys, get an autograph if they have time.
Yeah.
And I remember when I first went to my first game on the south side of Chicago at Old Comiskey Park, I saw Louis Aparicio out there at shortstop, and he was a real person. I didn't think he was real. He was a face on a bubblegum card. I go, yeah, he's really a really guy, real guy. Nellie Fox is there, Ted Kluszewski at first, and Sherm Lyle was catching, and Early Wins pitching. So that's what I love about that. The fans are right there, and they
Hmm.
can watch these guys, talk to them, and even ask questions.
Yeah. I sat a couple rows away from when you interviewed Griffey Sr. A couple weeks ago. And man, that was outstanding.
Yeah, we had a good time. We had a lot of laughs talking about when he was playing with Junior, father and son. It's still, to me, one of the greatest stories in the history of baseball. Father and son playing on the same team in the major leagues. It's unbelievable. I don't know if we'll ever see that again.
You've been in the Mariners fans' lives for more than 40 years. And for a lot of us, you've become an extended member of the family.
Hmm.
So what advice would you give a fellow radio broadcaster who is looking to connect with the audience like you have?
Well, since I'm a member of your family and everybody's family, at Thanksgiving time, I love dressing, the bread dressing. So I need bread dressing and gravy, and that's my favorite. I'm just kidding. I think my best advice is to fall in love with the game and understand the game. Voice is a wonderful thing to have. Dave Niehaus had the greatest voice in the world, but it's knowing the game and what should happen before it happens, and don't be afraid to ask questions and learn from other broadcasters.
Yeah.
I had the privilege of sitting next to Dave Niehaus for 25 years, but I also talked to Bob Euchre, how much fun he had on the air, and Vin Scully, and what they did and how they did it. And they all said basically the same thing: preparation, get your notes out of the way before the ball game. However, Vince Scully told me, Mr. Scully told me, he said, don't broadcast your notes, broadcast the game. That's the most important thing. But be ready. Have those notes available to find out what certain guys are doing in the team and the pitchers that are pitching that night and anything interesting going on in baseball. But we have to have the responsibility and the challenge of making people see the game right here in our imagination.
Hmm.
So we have to choose the right words to help create the drama and build up to it, not over the top of it all the time. Save that for when there's an over the top time. But if we can put every fan in the front row seat while they're listening on the radio, then I'm doing my job as a big league broadcaster.
I love it. This year's team came with a lot of expectations. They were an early favorite to go all the way to the World Series, but we've been struggling a little bit as they fight for a playoff spot.
Hmm.
What does this team need to do to make that push into October?
They just need to get healthy. That was the biggest problem in the first half of the season. Cal Raleigh last year had the greatest season in the history of Major League Baseball for a catcher. He hit 60 home runs. Babe Ruth hit 60. That's the third highest total in American League history. Aaron Judge at 62, and Roger Maris at 61. Well, this year, after Cal came back from the World Baseball Classic, he got hurt and he was out for 5 weeks. And then it's tough to come back during the course of the season. He had a few games on a rehab assignment. And then every guy, 15 different guys were on the injured list, during the course of the year. So it seemed like every time the Mariners would take a step forward, they'd take a step back, or one step forward and two steps back. And it was just hard to get going because in the first half of the season, Dan Wilson didn't have the starting lineup that was designed for him to have, coming out of spring training. So I think once this ball club gets healthy, they're going to be just fine. The talent is in this clubhouse with what they have. And now they've added to it with Taylor Ward coming over from Baltimore. He's got a great on-base percentage. The Mariners need to get better with hitting with runners in scoring position. It's not how many hits you get, it's when you get them. It's nice to get a bunch of hits, but those base hits win you ball games, and they're going to do that. They're going to have a great run, I think, in the second half of the season. There's about 48, 49 games left, and I think they have the team right now that can win the American League West. They have the team that can get to the playoffs. They got a team that can get to the World Series because their pitching is so good. So I look forward to a great final few months here with the regular season, and I look forward to broadcasting games in the postseason as well.
Excellent. Last question for you, Rick Rizzs. What are you going to do with all of your free time in future baseball seasons?
Yeah, I'm gonna come out to the ballpark and have a cold beverage and sit and watch the game in the stands with my friends. But mostly, I'm going to spend more time with my grandkids. I have 3 grandkids. Jackson's 21, Braden's 18. My little girl, Ryan, is 11. She's a figure skater over in Wenatchee. So I'm going to spend more time with my grandkids and more time for me.
Yeah.
And I'm 72 years old, and I worked with guys that have gone a long, 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 long time. And I just want to enjoy the rest of my life. I want to travel when I want to travel. I've been traveling for 52 years, 8 years in the minor leagues on a bus, 18 hours from Memphis to Orlando. I'm never going to do that again. And I want to get to Europe. I want to go to Italy. All my relatives are from Italy. I want to go to Rome, meet the Pope. He's from Chicago. Robert Forst, I believe is his name. He's Pope Leo. And I want to eat my way across the country. But I'm just going to relax, support this ball club. And I still want to work for the team. If anything they need me to do, I'll do it. I'll be part of the alumni group or whatever. But whatever they want me to do, I'll do it because I grew up in Chicago. But Seattle's my home, and I'm not going to leave here. So I'm really looking forward to retirement, waking up and going, hey, I don't have anything to do today, which is going to be great.
That's awesome. Rick Rizzs is the voice of the Mariners Radio Broadcast Network and is retiring at the end of the 2026 season after 41 years with the ball club. Rick, thank you again for being here with us.
Jason, thank you very much. That was outstanding. It was a lot of fun going back in memory lane, and it's going to be a great year here in 2026. It's going to be a great finish. So thank you so much, Jace.
Thanks for listening to Soundside. Don't forget you can listen live on KUOW 94.9 FM Seattle at noon and 8 p.m. Monday through Thursday, or anytime online at KUOW.org or on your favorite podcast app.